Welcome to the show. I'm Jason Whitlock, and I'll tell you why LeBron is just the latest example of hug life in the NBA.
I'm Colin Cowherd. I'll tell you why last night, more proof Aaron Rodgers should want out of Green Bay. How long have I been saying that? Speak for yourself starts now. That was...
Visit Green.
Oh, no, I totally believe this. I really do.
All right, we're joined today by Fox NFL analyst Tony Gonzalez and former NFL head coach Eric Mangini.
To Green Bay, where the Packers once again struggle without Aaron Rodgers. That was brutal. Just 17 points, lost to the Lions, not competitive. The loss just adds more fuel to the narrative that Rodgers has been carrying a mediocre roster for a long time. The numbers back it up. Green Bay falling off a cliff when the quarterback hasn't been on the field this year. Whitlock Aaron has made it clear this offseason he wants the Packers to do more to improve the team. What about the idea he leaves Green Bay?
Listen, man, Green Bay is probably the most historic franchise in NFL history. It's Bart Starr, it's Brett Favre, and it's Aaron Rodgers. I'm not running away from that. I'm not running away from that legacy, no way. And so, yeah, are they getting exposed without Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
Every team in the league, to me, except for the Patriots, pretty much gets exposed when they lose a player of his caliber. You're talking about a historically great talent. The only team I've ever seen really survive it is the Patriots. You know, they lost Brady for a year and somehow went 11-5. But the Packers, again, they need to do more to support him, but they look the way they should look when you lose a quarterback that talent.
I don't know who survives losing a guy of his quality, and you saw it all last year, whether it was Derek Carr getting hurt late. You saw what happened to their seasons as soon as he went down, and it's pretty consistent that the backup quarterback, especially when you're the backup for Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady, you're going to look dramatically different, and that's also what surprised me a little bit about the Jimmy Garoppolo trade. You know, it's important to have a really good backup quarterback, and we get reminded about that every season, and you know, sometimes a little earlier than others.
Feels a little unhealthy though. You know how, like, it feels like sometimes Aaron's out of Green Bay's league. They don't go after free agents. The last couple of years, each year, they've let go of a really high-end offensive lineman. The kind of the sensibility of Green Bay, Ted Thompson's feeling is, we draft our guys, we pay them for a first contract, not often the second. We want to remain nimble and flexible.
They got 4 Super Bowls, Colin, if my math is correct. There's not a lot of franchises with 4 Super Bowls.
Well, here's where I think I understand what you're saying, but I don't think it applies to someone like Aaron Rodgers or any other Hall of Fame franchise-type quarterback, because you can bring in pieces and you're going to go to the playoffs like they do. They went to the playoffs last year. They were 4-1, whatever it was, the record with them this year, winning, and people were saying they're going to go to the playoffs again. They're still going to be a good football team because he's there. It's the other guys, like myself, Hardy Nickerson, Joe Thomas, like those guys, if it's the really, really good player that's stuck on a team that's horrible that I feel bad for, because they're never going to get a chance to win by staying there. And those are the ones that should exercise their power and be like, you know, I wish I can get out of here or whatever.
You know what this made me think of? Like Sam Darnold. So Sam Darnold, if he comes out, let's go to Cleveland. You're trapped for 7 years. They got you for 4. They can franchise you for 3. In the NBA, mediocre players can hold literally Paul Millsap, Kyle Lowry, Otto Porter can hold a franchise hostage. In the NFL, once you're to a team, once you sign it, 7 years. Like even now, if Aaron said, listen, man, I want out, just franchise him. And then franchise him.
You could be a jerk. I mean, Terrell Owens worked out for him. Went to Super Bowl. Who else? Give me some other. Andre Rison.
Don't you feel like, to some degree, though, Aaron sits there, Peyton Manning, Polian got him free agents, and Brady, Belichick gets him free agents. Don't you feel a little bit like Aaron? It's like, guys, I could use a little help.
But a lot of times, if you're a really good quarterback, if you're an elite quarterback, you're going to change the destiny of that franchise, and they're going to be able to bring in pieces around you. The Colts weren't very good before Peyton Manning got there. You know,
but once Polian got him, he realized, oh my God, I've got an all-timer.
Yeah, but I think they built through the draft around Peyton Manning. When I start thinking about the play, I don't remember the Colts going out and getting a Reggie White like Green Bay got for Brett Favre. And they
got some offensive pieces through the years.
They fell into Charles Woodson and won a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. I just think that franchise is so historic, and being a Packers legend, there's so much value to that. post-career.
What would you do if you were Aaron? You've been in this league at a high level. If you were Aaron and you watched that, what would your gut feeling be?
Well, honestly, because he's winning though, Colin. He's going to the playoffs. He's willing that team. He's put that team on his back every time, and he wins miraculously because he's that good. He's a Hall of Fame.
So you wouldn't
one of the best quarterbacks of all time. I wouldn't do anything, but I'm saying for the other guy, yeah, I could see where you could make an argument like, get out of there. Why would you want to stay there?
Poor Tony was beat up for all those years in Kansas City. He just, if you can get to the playoffs,
I'm just trying to get to there. That's what I'm saying. I've been in there.
Once you get to the playoffs, though, you got a chance.
Hey guys, it's Jason McIntyre, and before we move on to the next topic, I want to talk to you about ZipRecruiter. In need of great talent for your business but short on time? You don't have to get lost in a huge stack of resumes to find your perfect hire. You just need the right tools, smarter tools. With ZipRecruiter, you can post your job to over 100 of the web's leading job boards with just one click. So you can rest easy knowing your job is being seen by the right candidates. Then, ZipRecruiter puts its smart matching technology to work, actively notifying qualified candidates about your job within minutes of posting so you receive the best possible matches. That's why ZipRecruiter is different. Unlike other hiring sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on the right candidates finding you, it finds them. No wonder 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site in just one day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by growing businesses of all sizes and industries to find the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, listeners can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/speak. That's ZipRecruiter.com/speak. One more time, to try it for free, go to ZipRecruiter.com/speak. Now, let's get back to the show.
Welcome back, Tony Gonzalez, Eric Mangini here. Let's move to Indianapolis, where the saga of Andrew Luck just took a strange turn. The Colts quarterback recently placed on the IR, but according to comments made by Tony Dungy, when he thought he was off air, Colts owner Jim Irsay says Luck's problem isn't physical, but is, quote, inside his head now. Yikes. Whitlock, is it fair to question Andrew Luck's toughness?
Fair, probably no. Inappropriate, yeah, I think it is fair, to be honest, because I think this is what goes along with football. There are always these questions behind, is the guy injured or is he hurt? If he's hurt, he needs to play. If he's injured, he needs to be off the field. That is a pressure players feel all the time, and so it's part of football. It's going to be easy to beat up on Jim Irsay. He's having a private conversation. He's not having a public conversation. It wasn't meant for public consumption. But that is the kind of conversation that goes on among football people in all sports all the time. Guy injured, is he hurt? Is it in his head? Can he really play? It's not meant to be stated publicly, and Tony Dungy let it slip when he thought he was having a private moment. But, I'm not offended by it.
I'm not. Irsay is pretty impulsive. I think there is a certain responsibility when you're an owner. Even if I thought that, I wouldn't tell anybody, outside of maybe Chris Ballard, my GM. I'll show you something that speaks to Andrew Luck's toughness, is the most times pressured in the last 4 years, and it's Russell Wilson and Andrew Luck. And by the way, even last year, Russell Wilson got hurt. I think he's taken a beating. Unlike Russell Wilson, he hasn't had a defense to keep him in games. I don't think he's had an elite head coach like Russell Wilson has. I think the kid's taken a beating for 2 years. Jim Irsay's not a doctor. He plays one, apparently.
He's talking to Tony Dungy, a guy that he's got a very close relationship with, whose, reputation for keeping things, in-house would be impeccable. Jim Irsay does a lot wrong and does a lot of silly things. I'm not going to beat him up too bad on this one.
I think the last thing you can accuse Andrew Luck of being is not tough. And the reason he's in the situation he's in is because he is too tough. He doesn't throw the ball away when he'll take a 6-yard gain and a hit instead of just throwing the ball away and living to fight another day. And he played with this injury for a year. And to me, that's why we're in the situation that we're in. Now, that being said, with any injury and the recovery of injury, there is the physical side and there is the mental component, and each guy heals at its own pace, and each guy mentally deals with the recovery at their own pace. So if the doctors have told Jim Irsay that he's okay, and now it's a mental, you know, it's how much he deals with the pain, then I get why he was saying what he was saying.
Yeah, and I think that I agree with you there, Coach. 100%. I don't think he's talking about physically tough. You know, will he sit in the pocket and make a throw and take a hit? I don't think that's. Yeah, like you can't question that. It's Andrew Luck. He's a good player. He's already proved he'll do that. But mentally, yeah, I believe so. I think that's fair to question that. If the doctors are saying, you know what, that thing's healthy now and you should go back, you should be back out there. Normally, guys this far removed from an injury can get back out there, but you can't for some reason. We don't know. As far as we can see, and this happens all the time. All the time. And I know as a head coach, the trainer goes in there, I'll have private conversations about guys on the team. I'm like, hey, what's wrong with him? How come he's not back yet? And he'll go, well, whatever. And he'll talk a little trash on the guy and say he's not that tough. And mentally, because it's hard to get over that. I have hurt my knee 4 times, MCL sprains. When you first come back off an injury, it's tough. It's a tough thing.
It's in your head when you turn.
It's trust it, and you feel a little twinge. You're like, is it going to go back? I remember last time I did this. What happens? I get setbacks. It's tough to get over that hurdle. So I believe that's part of the reason, part of it, why they put him on ice, said take the rest of the year off and come back strong next year.
You're from Indianapolis. You have great connections, Jason, in the community. What do fans think there? What do people think? What do the media think?
Well, I think the media thinks the team's nothing without Andrew Luck, for one. And two, I don't think anybody I think the fans have a fan's view, and
they want him to play.
But not just wanting to play him, would probably immediately think this is unfair of Jim Irsay to say. But football, again, it's not the prettiest thing. It's like making sausage. And so when people get a look behind what it really takes or what athletes go through and the way they get pushed and prodded, and some of it's necessary. You got to get to be 50 years old before you realize that some of the things that you felt were unfair actually made you a tougher person and a better football player and a better man. And so I'm sitting here listening to this conversation. The first thing I'm thinking about, I can remember in high school, my first varsity football game as a sophomore, I got hurt on the field, and as I got ready to go back in the game after sitting out, the offensive line coach came over and said, you better play at the same damn level. Don't go in there with no excuses. And in my mind, it was like, he read my mind. I thought, oh, I don't have to play as well. I've been hurt. And he called me, and it made me a better football player. And so this sounds ugly for Jim Irsay to be questioned. And again, I'm not the guy to defend Jim Irsay. He's kooky and all that. But this is what football players go through.
I think there needs to be a full assessment, too, of the medical protocol and the medical staff and those things, because how did we get to where we got to, where we thought he'd be back at the beginning of the season and now we're not? That needs to be examined, too.
All right, to Cleveland, where as usual, the winless Browns and their dysfunctional front office are in turmoil. But help could be on the way, with rumors flying that Peyton Manning could be under consideration for a role with the team, though Browns Executive Vice President Sashi Brown declined to comment.
You shouldn't read to it one way. Even if we were, we wouldn't comment on it here, and that's how I would leave it.
All right, Cowherd, would Peyton Manning be crazy to join the Cleveland Browns?
Well, no. I mean, can he get some ownership with it? I mean, it's pretty interesting business. I actually think he'd be great. I think he'd add legitimacy. I think there's a lot of, Sam Darnold again. Sam Darnold's not going to Cleveland unless maybe a Peyton Manning goes and Sam thinks, I could learn from the greatest quarterback I ever watched play on TV. I think Cleveland right now is in a rough situation where players don't want to play there. Nobody buys him. The owner, we're told, went nuclear on the front office. There's a lot of turmoil. And the Manning family is such American football royalty. I mean, it would just be like, all right, it feels like a grown-up organization. They're not going to fire Peyton in a year. I think he would add some stability and kind of a level of dignity.
I think as long as he got everything he wanted, control of that organization, I wouldn't go in there if I'm Peyton Manning and the analytics guys are still in control. And so, let me shut up because we got someone that used to work for the Browns. What would he be crazy?
I don't think he'd be crazy at all. I do agree with Colin. I would look for an equity stake. I think that's an important part of this. It depends on his relationship with the owner. That, to me, is the most important thing in any organization. And if he was an owner, that would help, and it would go a long way. He's incredibly smart. He performed at a high level at the hardest position for a long time. Would there be a learning curve? Yeah, there would be a learning curve, but he would get good people. He would figure it out. So to me, it's more, does he want that lifestyle? It's all encompassing. You know, he's got I assume, a pretty good lifestyle now. To jump into that position, it's dramatically different than anything he's done to this point.
I think it'd be a great move, and that's fun. Equity? You think he can get some equity?
Yeah,
I think he should have.
They need it
How
so
great
badly.
is that?
They
But obviously I know Peyton pretty well, coming up through the ranks with him, and the way he prepares. You know, this guy had an office when he was playing. During his playing days, he had an office at the facility because he wouldn't get out of there till 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, just like coaches. I mean, that is the brain, and this is how he works. So if he did take this job, I have no doubt he would be successful. He would come in there and say, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to do it my way, Peyton Manning way. We're going to drink Bud Lights until 12 o'clock in the morning and go out there, and we're going to come up with a great game plan. And I think this legacy, let's talk about that too. Him being the type of player he was over his career, and to be able to go into the Cleveland Browns, if he can turn that thing around, you talk about boom to boom, even better. What a great thing to do.
By the way, we've seen this. Elway's done some good things in Denver. John Lynch is off to a terrific start in San Francisco. They had a very good draft. Magic with the Lakers. Yeah. I mean, we kind of look at players and think, they're players. There's a little precedent here that we've seen some guys go football field, basketball court, and you're like, they're not struggling.
I think there's a learning curve. I don't know if people would argue 0-9 is a terrific start in San Francisco.
Well, no,
so, I mean, I think there is going to be a learning curve.
Well, here's where I would push back a little bit. I always feel like Peyton would be a better fit as a head coach than as an executive, because I think the guy likes to be in control. That was always the thing. You know, the offensive coordinator worked with Peyton. Peyton didn't work for the offensive coordinator. And so I could see him sitting up in that executive's chair and micromanaging the head coach.
Oh, boy.
And that could be a problem. So, and then the other thing, just as an Indianapolis native, this would be a horrible look to me for the Indianapolis Colts. If they wouldn't give him this in Indianapolis and then he goes over to Cleveland and turns that franchise around, I would be so livid as an Indianapolis Colts fan. Why wouldn't Peyton Manning be there with our franchise? But again, I've always thought Peyton Manning should be a head coach. He loves preparing.
I never thought he'd be a head coach. I think in the NFL, they're going to have 6 coaches fired. Who are they going to get? The college guys don't even want to go coach. Urban Meyer's like, no thanks. Nick Saban's like, no thanks. Harbaugh's like, the way they treat coaches in this league, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, they pay them all
the NFL is going to have 6 openings. You know what they're going to do? They're going to give them to coordinators because the top college guy, David Shaw, has told people, why would I want to go back to that league? They don't treat coaches well in this league.
You feel that way,
Look, it depends on the organization that you're in. It depends. To me, it goes back to that relationship that you have with the owner and whether or not you share the same vision, you share the same values, you share the same timeline. What's happened now is people want a turkey, but they want you to cook it in a microwave. And it doesn't work that way. If you want an organization that's built to last, then you've got to do the things, the hard things that sets up an organization that's built to last and create a foundation.
All right, welcome back. We're joined now by Fox NBA analyst Chris Broussard and the founder of the Big Lead, Jason McIntyre. Let's move to Cleveland, where LeBron James and the Cavs are off to a rocky start this year, dropping to 4-6 this week after losing to the Atlanta Hawks. Meanwhile, Kyrie Irving put up 35 points last night, powering the Celtics to their 9th straight win, which apparently prompted LeBron to post this angry Arthur meme on Instagram. Cowherd, are you okay with LeBron constantly venting on social media?
Yeah, A, trolling's legal. B, that's what social media is for. And C, he's not venting. He is absolutely bored out of his mind, and he knows on shows like this we'll talk about it. So he goes out and goes, I'm so mad, and we'll just spend the day talking about LeBron. He is now trolling
for
us.
attention.
Whatever people troll for. You ever trolled anybody on social media?
Yes.
Never.
It's for a lot of reasons. Some it's attention, some it's to have fun.
He's doing it for attention, Colin. Like he doesn't get enough attention. What? At some point, grow up, LeBron. I mean, seriously, at some point, you know, just grow up. All the tweeting, the mysterious messages. Now everybody comes to the press conference, and before the game, they want to talk to LeBron about his tweets. I don't get it, man.
I totally get it. Michael Jordan
was
so bored he went to the riveting, fast-paced sport of baseball. He was bored. Remember the Shaq Kobe teams when they were so dominant? They'd go 15-1 in the playoffs. They'd lose 25, 30 regular season games. The NBA history is the stars, the dominating teams. Warriors last year. They get bored.
Twitter. So go to Twitter.
Well, you go to Twitter. You go to tweet. You have fun. You troll.
I can tell you what I do in my spare time, but it'd have to be off the air. And LeBron's married, but anyway.
I do think that LeBron does this for kicks. And he sits back and he laughs at everybody talking about it, trying to figure out what he meant. They have no idea what I'm talking about. But I do agree with you to a degree. At times, it's foolishness and childishness. Like when it's a fun thing, okay, I'm fine with it. But when it's something serious like Kevin Love a couple years ago, instead of fitting out, fitting in, I'm more of a straightforward guy. My yay is my yay, my nay is my nay. Go to your teammate and say, let's talk. Don't tweet out something cryptic and, like, have everybody guessing what in the world are you talking about.
But in this instance,
he's having fun.
This is, like, I agree with you. If it's in the locker room, just go to a guy, be authentic. If I was mad at you, I wouldn't do a cryptic tweet. We would talk about it. But if I was joking with somebody at another network, I would be funny.
Okay, Colin, what if he was upset with management and he didn't want to go to them? So he sent out a message on Instagram. Because you know what happened last night, right? Eric Bledsoe was traded. You know who represents Eric Bledsoe? Same representatives for LeBron James. What if LeBron caught wind of this, said, dang, we could have used Eric Bledsoe here. I worked out with him this summer. He's a great defensive guard. He shoots three-pointers well. We don't have a point guard. I think LeBron sent a message to management last night. No. Hold on.
You know what? Go to management.
LeBron, I believe, sent a message to his management. Guys, we are the 30th ranked defensive team in the league right now. We are 24th in three-pointers. They were second last year when Kyrie was creating.
But they were terrible defensively last year.
They were bad defensive, not 30th. 30th.
No.
Okay? And Derrick Rose, we've seen this. It's obviously not happening.
Lived in my building this summer.
Oh, I'm sorry to take a shot at your neighbor. I believe LeBron is upset with management.
So do you like that? That's kind of what we were talking about. If that's true, I don't think it's true. But if that's true,
go ask Maverick Carter.
If that were true, that's childish. Go to management and say, look, get me Eric Bledsoe. Or why didn't we get Eric Bledsoe? Don't send some cryptic tweet.
Is this his guy, Kobe Altman? Is that his guy? Because remember, Kobe Altman, I don't think said, hey, LeBron, we're going to trade Kyrie Irving. What do you think about that?
The new general
manager.
Yeah.
But you guys,
the team is LeBron.
Listen, this is almost, not to be political, but Trump uses Twitter. And those who defend Trump say,
there you go.
Trump says, well, this is the new communication device. And now people criticize him for it, but LeBron's like...
It's the shallow end of the pool, and if LeBron's comfortable playing in the shallow end of the pool with all the other people that love splashing around in the shallow end of the pool, good for it.
But why not? Sometimes you go to social media.
No, I do it. And you know what? I've changed avatars, communicating messages and all. It's all immature, Colin. And that's why I try to do less of it. LeBron but I do occasionally. I don't do it as much anymore.
My problem is from a different generation. He's 33. These guys have grown up on their phones. LeBron can send a tweet now, and half of China who follows the NBA knows what's going on. Okay, Michael Jordan couldn't do that. He had to physically go overseas. But LeBron's brand is on the internet right now, and he can reach everybody.
My problem is not tweeting. It's just I would rather you be straightforward because you had an interpretation I don't think anybody else on earth had about that last night. My interpretation was he misses Kyrie. Mood. Like, we need Kyrie back. I'm out here with a bunch of old fogies, and my man is out there killing people. I need him.
I got to be honest.
You agree with that?
I thought his was pretty interesting.
It was interesting. No, it was interesting.
All right, time for last call. Let's move to China, where reportedly Lonzo Ball's younger brother, LiAngelo, was among several UCLA players arrested for shoplifting. Cowherd, what's your reaction to this strange news?
Players are in big trouble. Reportedly, Steve Alford stayed with the players as the team left. You go to another country and rules and laws change, and They've been detained. I think it's real serious.
Yeah, there's nothing to make light of here. You know, I have a former, not a teammate, but a former Ball State football player has been incarcerated in China for more than a year without going to trial for something a little bit more serious than shoplifting, but it was like a bar scuffle or whatever. But in a foreign country is not the place to run afoul of the law. And so, you know, I hope the UCLA player, Steve Alford, the Ball family, and the other two
Scary
players.
for them. Scary for those kids.
Good luck to them.